Hi, in this video, I'm show you a demo of how you can create internationalized your Nextjs 13 apps. So let's get started. In this video tutorial, I will be using Adriano. Blog post recently shows how you can create internationalized Nextjs 13 apps, both on a server side and also the client side. So let's get started. And for this, I just created my project, which uses the Nextjs 13, and I'm gonna use a Git pod. And let's get started then. And with this, meanwhile it gets running, so we can just go here and see the new approach, and these are the steps I will be following. And we can also see that it's getting started, and I'm gonna use the browser version of this. I don't need to use the desktop one. And let's see. Okay, so we need to install the dependencies first. So install the i18next, the framework for internationalization, and React i18next, i18next resource to backend. So I'm gonna get those dependencies. Of course, I'm gonna open the preview, and let's open a new tab and install the dependencies alone, of course. And here I'm installing the dependencies, and this is folder structure. So we want to create a folder structure, and we need to use the dynamic segment. And if you want to take a look into how the routing dynamic segment looks like, the slug or ID. So in this example, which we'll be using the language, for example, English EN or German DE as a slug for a dynamic segment of your internationalized app. And let's create a folder structure then. So I have an app folder here. I can go to my app folder and I can create slug structure, which is, let me just take a look. It's LNG, and I'm gonna rename this. It's LNG. We can have the page and layout inside. We can move this. And there's also second page folder. We need to create a folder structure here, which is second page. Just gonna copy this and paste the page X here. And its JS file is used, and just for convenience of React, I'm just using the JSX. And now let's go to this page, and we're gonna just copy this. For the example, I can just, I want to use this area, so I can remove everything. I can just paste here. And here you see nothing special, just importing the link, and it has a head, and there's a link to a second page. And we're gonna create the second page, update the second page in a second. So it's the second page again, second page, nothing special, just gets the parameter, and depending on the parameter, links back to that page and secondary page. So we will replace this page with this. Okay, now we're gonna create a layer JSX. I think I already have layer JSX, and need to remove this and get a layout JSX here. And here it's a direction, next directory, and we get the language, generate static params. Based on the params, we get here nothing special. So we now need to do a language detection, and we'll return 404. Let's see what's happening here. If I reload, and maybe if I run again, I might get into the trouble of throwing that again, getting into, or maybe if I ask EN, I get 404. That's obviously expected, but let's try to solve. The next step is having 18 folder and settings. So I'm copy the settings inside the app folder. I'm going to create a new folder called i18n, and inside that create this settings.js and gonna paste these values. So let's see settings. So I want to use this side, I want to use this side. We can just paste this. And now in the layout JSX, now instead of hard coding this, we're gonna get languages from the settings. So I'm gonna pass this. I'm gonna pass this, replace this with this. It's very important. It's very important to know that languages, just make sure on the right the settings, and we get the languages. So if you look at the settings, we have languages, fallback languages. That looks good. And it's still nothing changes. This. I want to do that, and now we need to do the last step, a middleware. Middleware is the one, a helper, which helps you to assign what's the language of the request, and if there is no language request, it's going to assign some default language for us for our application. In this case, the default language is English. That's what it's said here. Fallback language. And yeah, so let's try to update this. I'm going to copy this middle. So just create a middle. Before that, I'm just going to accept language package. And here's the language package here. And I'm going to need middleware.js file. In this JS file, it's on the root of the project. So we just JS in the root of the project. As root of the project, now we can get this. No, just need this part and this. Just see here. Okay, and I will also have to check it out if the reference is correct. No, see, it's i18next settings. Okay, looks good. And now we should be able to see this. See if it works. And again, demo. So close this, open again, start, and see if it works. And see if we get over here, ports. We can just preview. Okay, it looks like it still have some references to all project pages, second pages, and you can also do this. Just closing this, also terminal. You can also close this. We can just say run them so that we can see the latest changes reflecting, and we can go this. You can also open here the port itself. You can just preview it here. And yeah, you see here now, get hi there. Second page, this is this one. No, it's this one. From the second. Okay. So, see, hi there. Demo of i18n Nextjs. You see here, you get here, and the second page, you see from the second page, it's reflecting changes. Okay, now let's move to the next step. Or we can also check out if this works. En, or if it's DE. Okay. It's going to figure it out how to get this. The internationalization part. So the detected language will be used to redirect the appropriate page. That's what we saw on the middle. Now let's try to, okay, let's prepare i18next in the index.js. So I'm at index.js file now. I have 18 folders. So I'm going to edit here. So this is index.js, and let's do this right here. We are importing the dependency instance, resource to backend, initial 18 get options. So I think we're gonna create some function in the settings page. I think so. Here is the settings page. So we might a new function. Let's see, and then we instantiate create instance using i18next and use the React i18next module and backend and the language and the namespace. And we need to provide the language and the namespace of the JSON file and get the options. And what is the option to initialize it as a default language? So, and use translations. And let's just copy this and paste it in i18next. Of course, we don't have this. Let's see if we have given. Yes, in the settings, this option is given the fallback language and the default. So let's update the settings. Let's do okay, now the next part is setting up the folder structure. So we'll just go and folder called locales based on locales and en and de, en and de. One more time, de, and then translation JSON, second page JSON. So for each one of them, translation JSON, as second page JSON. So let's try to page second page JSON and also a new page called second page JSON. Okay, so we have that now. So now we need to add these values, create JSON files. And DE, it's a translation. Second page gets to the English. And this one to German page. Yes, this is a German page. Okay, so now we can take advantage of async on the server side, and we can use a use translation response. And in the language page, so we can use translations, and get that inside this use translation. So we can use translation function, and we can use pass the language and we can get the translations. So let's go and update our page.jsx. So use this, and we can already see that it's reflecting. Hello. Let's see what's the second page should have. And the second page should this, and we need this page. This changes. Use translations. We need to see what's the change in D. It's in the D, so we'll just go to en, go to second page, and go to come. I can also see that over here, German. So we have now the working version. We have a language switch. So if it is in English, let's say if we don't give anything, it'll be in D because that's the last previously set in cooking. And now I go here, English. This is the language, and this is what we set in the cookie. And I hope we can also see that in the cookie. Application, cookie, hopefully we can see that information, cookies, and you see that we have i18next cookie and this cookie. So we can also make this i18next, so we need to worry about the other keys. So here, as soon as I change something, this will change. Who's changing this? This is our middleware is helping us. The middleware is helping us to choose and put it here. Our middleware is setting up this cookie name, i18next, and as a cookie name, and we'll be updating this value based on the language we get. And if they're not, we're going to assign it to a default language, which we set as a default language here. What was that? I think it was a default language. We put a default language as English if we don't have the language coming from as a first time. Yeah, so we can also get this from the accepted languages, and we also have a fallback language. I think we know more of that. Yeah, I think we have the fallback language here, and we can get that fallback language here. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is the fallback language. This is the English. So here. Okay, let's move to the language switcher. Let's create the next part of this video review. It's like a language switcher. And here, let's define the language switcher for the component. We're gonna this index.js new component, which is a footer component inside the language components, languages components. So I need components, footer index. To create one more folder called footer, and inside the footer to create index.js, and pass this value. Again, this is simple. Having this trans without context, languages use translation, footer translation, and we also get the footer and the trans component, and we're using this. And we're going to see that switching component here, and in the translation we also need to create a JSON for English, create a new file called footer.json. Again, we need to create it for as well, and of course those values are empty, so we need to add them. Switcher, this is for Deutsch, this is a switcher for the German. So footer.json, it should be fine. Once we have this page, now we're going to import this component, footer component, embedding the footer component here. So let's page.jsx, replace this page.jsx with the footer component, so we should be able to see this footer component. So let's reload this, and we see the footer component, and let's change this to close this en. So I'm close this to en now. No, not this one. Just change this to en. You see that switch to en to d, so now we can easily switch here between English and German. There's the language switcher on the footer. Okay, it's good. And on the second page, it's done. So we did both on the second page as well. Let's see if it's also on the second page. No, we didn't do that on the second page, so we should also do it on the second page so that it reflects the same results. Let's do this. Go here. Also see this. We switch here. To see this. So that's cool. Okay, that's good. And now let's move to the last part of this. Is a client side. So far we created the server side page only. Now it's time to create a client side page. So for this, I'm going to create a client.js, and where we cannot use async. need to do some adjustment. So let's see what's that adjustment is. i18next, and I think it was inside this. So for ClientJS, what the ClientJS does, again, gets the option, resource bundle, we need to instantiate and use resolve language. If it's not equal, change language and use translations. So copy this, and our clients have the normal singleton is okay to be initialized once. We can make this. We need to change, create two versions of footer component, one for the client and one for the backend. So let's see footer base, the footer base, footer component. Where's the footer component? I have a footer component, and I'm in a new file called footerbase.js. Again, I can create JSX, so it's consistent, and this plus I feel it's consistent. I also feel that it is indexed to JSX because JSX components are to avoid unnecessary proxy. Yes, and JSX, it has a footer. In the logic to list the links. See the footer index.js. To the footer base now. Yeah, it's simple. It just returns the footer base. We have a client.js. The client component. So one JS file. And just reference that client.js. A client page. So client page language page.jsx, which so client page, for example, we can client page, we can client page, we can folder client page, new folder, and link to the page, page.jsx or page.js, new folder, JSX. I'm just JSX, and now let's copy this page.jsx. Basically, it contains the same thing. Sync to this JSX. What did I miss? Did I miss something? Copy. Just export this. Okay. So similar to this, but it has a lot more things. H1, H2, buttons, which is accounting buttons, additional buttons, and link. Footer with some translation resources for the JSON. So let's get this else and this JSON and get that JSON file, and we just copy this client page and again JSON client page for German. We just this and just this. Okay, so now we have the pages ready. So now add a link to our initial page, page.jsx, so we can just update our page. So we can just link to a client page depending on where you want it. So we now have a client page, a second page. We just need to update this, which contains basic page, and so just this. Okay, so now I can go to the client page and I get this counter back home. second page, back home, and switch to the client page here. I can come back again. That's cool. To client page again, go back home. This is cool. And translation JSON, and we need to update the translation JSON. English is title to this page, and also we so see that result here. Okay, so we can see that to page, to home, and to the client page, it works fine. Yes, so we can see that the result looks similar to what we get here, and this is cool. You could see pages. Hope this was useful. Let me know if you have any question. And once again, thank you very much, Adriano, for this great tutorial which explains you deep how i18next can be used for the Nextjs 13. Thank you very much. Enjoy, and I will share all the related documents or links to repository in the description section. Thank you.